Hello, my friends. Nice to have you back. Or if this is your first time, I'm excited to have you here. I hope you hang around. 'Tis the season to pause and ponder what you are thankful for. I am thankful for my family, friends, and that I'm married to my best friend. I know I am lucky to be married to a smart, kind man who I still love 20 years on. And my luck continues because my husband Kevin joined me to talk about a mutual passion of ours, board games. In particular, collaborative board games, just in time for the gift and get together season. Welcome to Jacqui Just Chatters. I'm happy you are joining me today. I'm your hostess, Jacqui Lentz, and I'm trying to make the world a little better, one story at a time. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, leave a review, stars, or share with your friends. Episodes come out every other Thursday, but if you can't wait that long, you can go to my website or other socials. The links are in the episode notes. Let's get chatting. Thank you kindly for joining us. I'm so glad you're here today for this distinctive episode. What's so unusual about it? First, my guest is the love of my life, my husband, Kevin. I appreciate you joining today, sweetie.
It's my pleasure, darling. Thank you for having me on.
It's been too long.
It's been a year, I think. I think the last time was for the Guy Fawkes quiz.
Yes. Yeah, it was last November. It's been a year.
I guess we figure once a year is about all people can take of me.
That's all I'm going to give them of you. I share you sparingly because I'm stingy with my love. Not with you, but with other people. I don't want to share you because you're a wonderful resource. I'm selfish and I want to keep it to myself.
Oh, thank you. I like that explanation.
The second reason this show is so distinguished is because we are starting off the holiday season. For the listeners, this comes out on Thanksgiving. Happy Turkey Day, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Now, obviously, for us, it's a little before Thanksgiving. We've recorded this beforehand a little bit because we're eating turkey. In fact, this year, we're having the family come over to our house for the first time. We would always go over to my parents for the family meal. And that means I am making a turkey for the first time. I know you're thinking, really? You're that old and you're making a turkey for the first time in your life? Yes. Yes, I am. If you're listening on Thanksgiving, could you say a little prayer for my turkey endeavor that it turns out okay? Because I need help.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Just remember, if it says it 350 degrees for 4 hours, don't cook it at 700 degrees for 2 hours.
I saw the story about your mom.
My mom was a wonderful person and very smart, but she was also very literal and very mathematical. I don't remember exactly what she was cooking, but it was, the family story is, it was supposed to be 4 hours at 250 degrees. So she cooked it for 2 hours at 500 degrees and burned it to a crisp.
Cooking math is not the same as normal math. At least I got that down. I know that much. Bless your mom. She was a great mathematician.
She was.
The kitchen was not her strong suit.
It was not.
Oh, since it's the start of the holiday season, I want to do something a little different for the show and talk about games. I love games. They make great gifts or they're wonderful for something to do. I know a lot of you are having these get-togethers, especially in the next month and a half. And tomorrow is Black Friday, and then there's Cyber Monday just around the corner. And there are some good deals to be had on games as well. This is a great time to pick up some really cool games. So, Kevin, speaking of all this gameness,
Yes.
what kind of games did you like to play when you were little or younger?
I've always enjoyed games. We had a lot of the traditional board games when we were younger, Monopoly and Life and Sorry. But there were two I especially enjoyed as a kid. One was called Dungeon, with a very obvious sword and sorcery theme. Sorry. I feel like it pulled from a lot of the same sources that Dungeons and Dragons did. So you could be a warrior, a priest, a wizard, and you had to kill monsters and get treasure to win the game. I loved it as a kid. I found a copy when I was older and started playing it again and went, this game is a lot harder than I remember. Dying a lot. I'm like, I must have cheated like crazy when I was a kid. The other one is called Survive. And in that one, you are trying to get a group. Yes, there are sharks. No, that's good. So you're trying to get a group of people off the island. Sorry, it's a big island that's sinking, and you're trying to get to safety. And you can either swim or hop in a boat and try to get to safety. But there are a lot of things in the water trying to kill you. There are sea serpents, there are sharks, and there are whales. And when you're playing with two people, it's different than when you're playing with four. With two people, it feels more cooperative because you're
like you're just trying to keep all the bad things away, and there's a lot more space. But when you've got four people or even three people trying to get off the island and get to their safe space, yeah, they're just mean. And I've done it. I've noticed the difference in me. If it's just Kevin and I playing, it's more about trying to get as many people off as you can. But when there's three people, you're like, oh no, I'm sending those sharks. Let the chum rain. I am taking them out.
Yeah, it becomes less about how can I get my people to safety and more about how can I get your people eaten.
Yeah. And somebody every time is going to just start with the Jaws theme.
Oh, always.
It's imperative. So you might as well just put the soundtrack on. Or we've done Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
We put that soundtrack on while we're playing. Never underestimate the power of a good soundtrack while you're playing a game.
So those were two of my favorites as a kid. And I still love Survive. So Jacqui, those are some of the games I liked as a kid. Were there any things you particularly enjoyed playing when you were a kid?
When I got into high school and in college, we were obsessed with this card game, Tripoli. And it's okay, you take poker and mix it with Michigan rummy. It's a weird mix. It's a lot of fun. And it's a family game. And I'm putting air quotes around that because it's aggressive. We were so aggressive. And I shouldn't use past tense because we still are. There's a friend of ours who will not play with us.
Because you get mean. You do.
We do. We get really mean. When somebody sabotages your run and you're going to get all of this money and they mess it. Oh my gosh. Salty language. I do not hold back. And I'm the worst offender. I will admit that.
Also reminds me of Pounce.
I was just thinking about that. Okay, so Tripoli gave way to this game called Pounce, and it's like group solitaire. And if that sounds kind, it's not. It's even more aggressive than Tripoli.
You can lose a finger. You can lose a finger playing.
Honestly, we've drawn blood. There was like you had to take off all your jewelry. Everything had to be cleared off the table because we kept knocking drinks over, and it is intense. And you talk about like soundtracks. So like we put this mix together, and one of the songs was The Ride of the Valkyries. I thought all of us were going to have a heart attack by the time it ended. The tension level in the group was so crazy, and cars are flying, and we're like whacking at each other, and the name calling, it was nothing but 4-letter words came out of our mouths. And then I think we probably created some new ones. It was just intense. I do not recommend playing it with Ride of the Valkyries. It's almost too much. And I'm so proud that my sister and I have now shared this game with her daughter, my goddaughter. The next generation is learning this game because it's epic. And oh my gosh, when she's home over the holidays, we have to play Pounce. We have to play Pounce. Yes.
Pounce is one of those games that I enjoy, but I'm terrible at. My score is always massively negative.
That's one of the fun things about it. It's one of those games where you can go negative, and people do.
Oh, yes.
It is a crazy, nasty game, and you have to hit the Zen state. Okay, all right, we've got a lot longer about bounce than I thought. It's not even one of our games. Okay, one last segue before we get to it, because I want to share this joke. A friend of ours at a game night shared this joke, and it was delightful because honestly, it changed my outlook on everything. Our pal Matt started, and it was about truth or dare. He's okay, so you're playing truth or dare. I choose dare. I dare you to order me a pizza. And I'm like, oh my God, I played that game completely wrong my entire life. Holy crap. That all the things I could have done. I dare you to do my chores. I
was just
dare you
thinking,
to take out the trash.
I was just thinking, I dare you to clean my room.
Oh my gosh. I dare
Uh,
you to get me a 2-liter of Faygo Red Pop.
that's
Come on.
right. My wasted youth.
I know. What an opportunity. I would have played truth or dare all the time. Oh.
All right. What we actually came to talk about today
Man.
was collaborative games. So these are games you play as a group, and you either win or lose as a group. So you're playing against the game and not against each other.
Yes, very different from the other games that we were describing, which is
Yes.
nice. These are less likely to bring on swearing and much more communal.
Yes.
We want to encourage family togetherness. We're going to put these out ranked by skill. We're going to start with the most basic level of gaming knowledge, and we're going to end with the one that requires more gaming knowledge. This first one is absolute beginner.
It's
And
super easy.
yes, it's a fun party game. It's called Just One by Repo Productions, and it retails for about $18. Now, this game and all the other games we're going to talk about, I'm going to put links for them in the episode notes, and I'm going to send you to this website called boardgamegeek.com. And it is a wonderful website that talks all about games. It reviews them. It gives you all kinds of information. It is a fantastic one-stop shop for learning about games. As we talked about, Just One is a cooperative game. You play together to discover as many mystery words as possible. You want to find the best clue to help your teammate, and you want to be as unique as possible because any identical clues will be canceled. Basically, what this means is somebody's going to get a card and they're going to pick a number, and it's going to have a word, one word. And everyone else at the table is going to try to get them to guess that one word. And they will write down one word to try to get them to guess the mystery word. Let's say it's banana, and everyone's writing down their clue. The clue can only be one word, so you could put yellow, you could put fruit, you could put monkey. I don't know what else you could do. But you could only give one clue. And that's the idea, is that hopefully together you will help them figure it out. Now, as I talked about, there is the ability of canceling each other out. If two people use the word fruit or yellow, that clue is out. Both are gone. So the person guessing doesn't get to see either of the clues. I have, on rare occasion, had everybody cancel each other out, and I've had one clue.
That reminds me of our muffin moment.
Oh, muffin.
Oh, muffin. Several years ago, not long after Jacqui and I had first met, we were at a friend's house playing categories, which basically is you get a letter and several categories and have to come up with a single word, starting with that letter for each category. And all night long, we were canceling each other's words out and just driving each other crazy. And we got to a point where the letter was M, and one of the categories was terms of endearment. So you had to find a term of endearment that starts with M. So I think, oh, muffin. That's a great one. No one's going to think of that. Guess what? Someone did think of that, and it was Jacqui again. And
Yeah,
she was
because
not best pleased.
I had the exact same thought he did. Who would pick muffin? When I heard him read off muffin,
Yep.
I was ready to get up and walk across that room and smack him with the pad of paper. It would have been right out of Anne of Green Gables, but I would
Oh
have been
yes.
Gilbert. Just so pissed off. So the rest of the night, every time he canceled me, I called him Muffin.
Yep.
Every time.
And it's now a running gag.
Yes. So anytime we're playing a game and he like cuts me off, he thwarts what I'm trying to do, I pull out Muffin and shoot that right at him.
Yep.
Have you noticed when we play just one now, other people are using that term too?
Yes, because we've used it enough, it's now becoming a thing.
The noun muffin has now become a verb.
Yep.
You got muffined. So yeah, just one. It is a great game. When we're introducing new people to hang out and who don't really know a lot of games, we bring this one out. And pretty much everyone I've ever played it with really enjoyed it. It's so simple. And honestly, it's just funny.
Exactly. And it's because there really isn't skill involved. It's not, oh, you did so much better because you happen to know this particular bit of trivia. It's not like one of those things. It's very much everyone's on an equal footing.
Right.
You know, because it doesn't matter how much or less, it's can you get your friend to guess the word?
And what's nice about the game as well, you can play this with kids too. If they are, I'd say 9, 10 and up, I think it's rated for about that age too, that you can absolutely mix and match. We played with some elementary age kids once, and there were some issues with some of the words. They didn't know they weren't. So it was simple. We just didn't use those words. Then they played, and the kids understood the concept, and we had a great time. And honestly, it was one of the highest rated games I've ever played.
The next game we're going to talk about it's a little more complex. Some experience with game skills is helpful, but this also helps build those skills. So it's a good kind of mid-level. Anyway, the game is called Forbidden Island by Game Right, and it retails for about $24. Dare to discover Forbidden Island. Join a team of fearless adventurers on a do-or-die mission to capture 4 sacred treasures from the ruins of this perilous paradise. Your team will have to work together and make some pulse-pounding maneuvers as the island will sink beneath every step. Race to collect the treasures and make a triumphant escape before you are swallowed into the watery abyss. Yeah, this one is, again, it's cooperative. So you and your friends are trying to recover 4 treasures and escape the island before it sinks beneath you.
You put out these tiles, and all of you take on like these roles. That's the cool part about it. You take on this role, and they have names like diver or whatever, and your player, your character, whatever, gets like a superpower to help you try to achieve this goal of pillaging this island, stealing their treasures, and heading off. It's like Indiana Jones or the British Museum, plundering and taking other people's artifacts.
This one, yeah, it's a good teamwork builder. And I remember one of the games we played, you and I, where we were struggling and we're like, okay, what's the bare minimum we need to win? We need these 2 treasures. These 2 temples need to stay. And they were close enough together that we're like, okay, the rest of the island can just sink. As long as we keep this little section afloat, we can get the treasures we need, get back to the landing site and take off in the helicopter and still win. And if I remember right, we just barely did it.
We did. The next turn, I think we would have died. And we were merciless too. We're like, yep, every other part of the island can just sink. And it did. It was just, the island was going into the ocean. And we're like, we don't care. As long as our little section stays. And, oh, we no longer need this tile. That tile could go under.
That's right. If it's not one of the 2 temples or our landing pad, forget it. As long as we can get, that's all we need.
But that's good though, because it helps you like prioritize. You're working on priority skills. And what's nice is it also works on communication skills. And that's one of the fun things about playing cooperative games, that when you've got people together, especially ones that may not know each other very well, not everybody likes chit chat. Not everybody's good with small talk, but you put them down and they play a game together. Now they have something to talk about. They have a common focus, and all of a sudden they're just talking to each other. And that's one of the great things about all these games, is it gives them all common ground without any of them having to put themselves out, share things about themselves if they're not ready. So if you got a lot of introverts in a crowd, games are perfect for introverts.
I agree completely. As an introvert myself, that is exactly right. And it is a great way to encourage communication without having to just, yeah, like you said, go into a lot of deep personal details about yourself that, maybe you're just not comfortable talking like that with people you just met that afternoon. So this is a good way to get people engaged and talking without having to get too personal.
And as an extrovert, they're just fun. No problem there.
No. The next game we'd like to talk about, this is a more moderately challenging game and is good if you already have some basic game skills under your belt. It's called Castle Panic by Fireside Games and retails for about $35. I love the description on this one too. They watched and waited as you built your castle and trained your soldiers, but now they've gathered their army and are marching out of the woods. Can you work with your friends to defend the castle against the horde, where the monsters tear down your walls and destroy the precious castle towers? I also love it. So they just watched and waited while you built your fortifications and then attacked. I don't know.
That's not creepy at all.
No, and I guess it's dumb, but I guess we're talking orcs and trolls. So yeah, not the brightest.
So they're stalkers? Is that what this game is saying? Goblins and orcs are basically stalkers. And what I get, okay, this doesn't make sense to me. If they've been sitting there watching you as you build your defense, why did they wait until the defense was completed? Doesn't it make more sense to attack before the defensive structure is finished?
That would be my thought, but apparently their bosses didn't think so.
I think I'm asking way too many questions of a game.
Of a game. Yeah. But so yeah, this is similar to Forbidden Island in that you very much need to work together and strategize with the other players. This one especially because you've got your castle towers in the middle of a circle, and the monsters will come at you from various sides of the circle and every turn advance one ring closer. So you have to decide, do I kill the little orc that's up front because he only takes one hit, or do I attack the troll that's 3 rings out and he's further away, but he takes a lot more hits to kill?
There's a lot of discussion about what are your priorities, who has what skills. And that's one of the things that is nice here. When it comes for a round, you put your cards out. You play as a group, basically. One person goes at a time, but you don't have to go alone. Everyone's helping you and you work collectively as a team. I have a friend, I know she plays this with her elementary age kids. That upper L, middle school, they can totally handle this game as well. It's a little more complicated, but it's not that complicated. If you've played Forbidden Island, that is a perfect stepping stone for Castle Panic. If you're not really sure, you haven't had a lot of game experience, start with Forbidden Island and then make your next game after you're like, we've been playing this for a while board, then go on to Castle Panic.
It really is the next level, both in complexity and a little bit in tension, because things can get really hairy when there's monsters all over the board and boulders rolling down the hill. And I do love one of our friends when we were playing it at the end of the game, he said at one point, I really did start to panic.
You do? All this stuff's happening and you're like, okay, what's on fire?
Exactly.
Can we put the fires out?
Yeah. Can we build a fortification in time before the ogre gets there? Can we zap the wizard in the back before he sets the tower on fire?
How much beating can we take? Games do make wonderful gifts. Now, here's a few pieces of advice. If you're buying a gift for somebody who is a huge fan of games and they have a big collection, ask them ahead of time if they have a game. Like, just ask them, because otherwise you could get them something they already have and you don't want to do that. Or ask somebody who has access to their game collection, who's going to know what they have or don't have. It's more important that you get them something that they don't have and they want, instead of giving them a surprise and it's, oh, yay, now I have 2 copies of it. Unless they want 2 copies of it. There are games that we have 2 copies of just because they only play like 4 players. And then we've got a bigger group than 4 and everybody wants to play it. So we'll set up 2 of them at the same time.
Or it's good they may have one set that's starting to fall apart. And so getting a second copy is not bad because the first copy isn't going to last much longer. We've had a few games like that where we've had to buy a second copy because we played the first copy so much we destroyed it.
Yeah, that's true. Another pro tip is, I'm going to say this wrong, Spiel des Jahres. This is an award from Germany. Basically, it just translates to Game of the Year.
Yep.
It's German for Game of the Year. In the game world, it is a very well-known award. They do not give this thing out lightly. And I'll tell you, we have a ton of these symbols on many of the boxes of games we have in our collection.
We do. And every one of them has been amazing. So if you see something with that, it's earned it. It's not just given out randomly. It is a really good game.
Yep. So especially if like you're starting out gaming or that kind of thing, look for that award or word of mouth from people of games that they've liked.
It may have the Game of the Year award on it, and it may be a great game, but it may not be your style of game. So yeah, so look for that symbol, and then if you can, check around, ask some friends, or go to boardgamegeeks.com and check out reviews.
We have an honorable mention. Perhaps some of you have read these yourself or have heard about them. They were very popular back in the day. Choose your own adventure books.
Woohoo!
I remember reading them and they were fantastic because you're like, oh, you're going down a corridor and you can choose to turn right or turn left. And depending on which way you chose, you'd go to that page and different things would happen.
Yep, I remember those. I love those. I still have my favorite one. I believe it was book number 6, Cosmic Encounters.
But some genius came up with, and I'm sorry, I didn't look this one up. I just know that there's choose your own adventure game. Somebody took the book style concept and made it into an adventure game. And it's collaborative. It's again made for a group. And you take turns doing things and take turns reading as a group. But you read a card and this is what you've done. And then you get to make choices about where you go next. And then it's okay, now you pick this card. And then it's all done through cards. And then there's like this counter board. That's where you keep your scores and things like that of how well or poorly you're doing. And it's really simple. The only thing that's complicated about it, honestly, is the amount of time. There's, what was it, 3 or 4 chapters?
I think there's the one we're playing, I think has 4 chapters.
I think it's 4 chapters. Yeah.
Yeah.
And each chapter, depending on how many times you die or you get through the adventure. Yes, you can die and come back frequently.
Yes, because at least the one, you're a psychic investigator. So if you accidentally pick a track that gets you killed, it's, oh, you had a vision of what happened and you decided to do something else.
Yeah, death doesn't take. And it can take anywhere between an hour to 2 hours to do each section. So like you want to get a group of friends together and then you're going to like routinely do these. I would not recommend trying to do this in a one-night session. Though I guess you could, like, I remember like my 25-year-old self and a 2-liter of Mountain Dew. I could have done it.
Yeah, like if that's the purpose of the evening, if you guys are specifically getting together to do the entire story, yeah, I can absolutely see that. But I could agree generally, get your friends together, do 1 chapter at a time. Do 1 chapter one night, come back a couple of weeks later, do the next chapter.
It's a really fun game, and honestly, you don't need a lot of skills. It really explains everything to you. We have a group that if there is ever an even number of votes to choose, one group wants to do this and we can't choose, we have the die of fate, and we roll a die, and odds and evens each that determines, and then the
Yep.
fate decides which one we will choose. Which I'd like to point out, my choice has an 80% accuracy of being the best choice. Just gonna put that out there.
Yeah, you're not going to let me forget that dragon,
No,
are you?
never, ever.
So, real briefly, we had a choice of do we climb a tree to I think get our bearings or look at the stars? And my elf was not that kind of elf, so I'm like, I'm not climbing the tree. But her gnome was like, no, you're climbing the tree. I'm like, no, I'm not. So we did the die roll. She won. I climbed up the tree and got a key item that then triggered all kinds of great rewards down the lane. So if we hadn't I haven't climbed up the tree, we wouldn't have got it. So yeah.
Yep. My instincts are pretty good with games.
They are.
Kevin, any last tips you think people should
Um,
know?
as you get into more complicated games with lots of fiddly bits and pieces, Ziploc baggies are your friend. Some games will come with built-in organizers, others do not. It can be real time consuming if you're trying to separate everything every single time you play. So get a bunch of little Ziploc bags and separate it all ahead of time. It really does save time. That's the last pro tip out of my little brain.
I think we've come to an end about our gaming world.
Oh,
We've
well,
wandered off so many times.
we could really wander off more. We haven't even talked about things like Arkham Horror.
Okay, yeah. I have a feeling like next year I'll have you back on.
Ooh,
And then we can talk about games like Survive where they're not collaborative.
yeah.
And we can
And
talk
maybe
about
some
those.
things that require a little more expert level skill set.
True. Though some not ones too. I think it's nice to have different skill levels
Yep.
to help everybody. That's me as a teacher. It's okay, you have to have different style lessons for different learners.
Oh, you know me, I'm just any chance to get in something H.P. Lovecraft related.
Oh my God. Nope, Halloween's gone now. It's too
Oh,
late for that.
darn it. All right, maybe next year.
Well, honey,
Yes,
I'm so glad you joined me. This was a lot of fun.
it was. I am glad you asked me to do it. So thank you.
I love you.
I love you too. Even if you do almost always beat me at games that we play.
That's how I know you do love me. Throughout the episode, you've heard a couple 80s synth style songs playing. If you want to know why I chose those, it's because Kevin loves that kind of music. It was for him. I love you, honey. Merci, mes amis, for hanging out with us, hearing our gaming stories, and hopefully giving you some inspiration for the holiday season. Do you have any amazing game suggestions? Please share them in the comments section for this episode over at my website, JacquiLens.com. The link will be in the episode notes. Have a safe and peaceful holiday. Come back for my next regular scheduled episode to hear me chat with my friend Sonia about her time as a burlesque performer. Until next time, I wish you well.